Very often, certain belief systems, certain teachings, whether it's in personal development or spiritual development, what happens is in a culture, people are biased towards one side of a spectrum. So let's say control and surrender is a spectrum. So let's say in a culture, there's a lot of people that are holding on too tight. It's controlling, it's planned. There's not a lot of spaciousness for synchronicity or flow or uncertainty, right? And so individuals can have these characteristics and cultures can have these characteristics. So in a culture like that, what then happens is someone comes along, a personal development author or a spiritual teacher, and says, hey, look over here. There's all these problems of being so controlling. You need to surrender. You need to let go, let God, right? And so what happens is people are like, hey, there's a lot of wisdom there. They're saying, well, here's all the problems with holding on too tight, of being over controlling. And here's the solution to that: surrender. So then people start to surrender and good things start happening. Oh, I had this really cool synchronicity. I'm more in the flow. My blood pressure is down, or I feel more relaxed. I'm spending more quality time with my family or friends, like whatever the case might be, right? So then it starts to kind of catch on. Well, surrender, like this is a really good thing. We need to surrender. So what happens is the pendulum swings, and sometimes the pendulum can swing too far. Or it's actually not that the pendulum swing too far. It's just that what we want to be doing, from my perspective, both individually and collectively, is we want to be developing a full range of motion of consciousness. We want to be equally comfortable in control and equally comfortable in surrender. So most people have a comfort zone where they're always most comfortable, turn right, turn right, turn right. I don't turn left, right? I'm always most comfortable in control, or I'm always most comfortable in surrender. For very many of us, growth often has to do with moving outside of our comfort zone to the other side of the spectrum, or to another location on the spectrum. So when we surrender to our highest self, in this moment, our highest self can say, you need to navigate this part of the terrain very specifically. You want to be in control. You want to be hyper vigilant. You want to be careful. You want to bring extra supplies. I'm with you, guiding you, but you need to be, hold on tight over here. In other cases, it's like, hey, let's surf the wave over here. Like, let go, release, float down the stream, don't struggle. This is where, again, I think a lot of people make mistakes, which is they get habituated to a comfort zone, and then there's spiritual teachings that are essentially recommending, like, this is the best way, which it is sometimes, which is why they sometimes are getting good results, but other times it isn't. Another example of that, and then we'll also come back to, letting go of being over controlling. Another example of that is there's a lot of people, let's say in spirituality or into personal development, where it's like you got to take the leap of faith, right? You have to take the leap of faith. And that's how you grow and expand. And we have this image of, well, sometimes we're going to jump off the cliff, and that's how we find out how we have wings, right? We're going to start falling, and we're falling faster and faster and faster, and then our wings open up, and then that gives us the velocity and lift to fly. So we romanticize, we idealize these ideas of taking a leap of faith, and it's really beautiful, right? If we've been in a place of contraction, and if we've been in a place of fear, and we've been always playing it safe, and we can't trust God got us the universe, and we can't trust life, and we can't trust ourselves, we can't trust other people, when we've been living in that space, then it is that big, dramatic, cinematic type of moment. I'm going to take this leap of faith, and I'm going to be supported by the universe. I'm literally going to jump off this cliff and find out that I've got wings and I can fly. I mean, it's an incredibly beautiful thing. And also, then you have a lot of people, they've spent their whole life taking leaps of faith. They're constantly in a place of, well, here's another leap of faith, and here's another leap of faith. That becomes their comfort zone. For those people, a lot of times growth is not taking a leap of faith. For those people, sometimes growth is, I'm going to wait for the ground to become solid beneath my feet. I'm going to make sure that that's solid before I take a step forward. So this is part of this process of navigating the spiritual path and navigating reality, is moving away from some of the oversimplified maxims and teachings, right? So there's kind of like a consensus belief system almost among a lot of modern spiritual teachers and spiritual seekers of, this thing, this thing, this thing, this is the right way to be. And a lot of those exist as countermeasures or as antidotes to problems people have had. So there is benefit in those things. It's just you don't apply them all of the time. The real formula is there's no formula. The real formula is you surrender to your highest self. You have a full range of motion of consciousness. Sometimes you take a leap of faith. Sometimes you wait for the solid ground beneath your feet. Sometimes you do hands off the wheel surrender. Sometimes you do hands on the wheel surrender. So it's getting to a more nuanced and complete understanding of reality and understanding that there's no left brain, one size fits all solution. Our higher mind, our highest self, always knows what's right. And the more we can tune into that and then follow that direction, the happier we're going to be, the more beautiful and joyful life we're going to have, and the more we're going to be creating more light, love, and goodness for those around us and for everyone in the collective. So all that said, coming back to, if you're over-controlling, how to surrender or let go of control, a couple comments on that. So one is the power of words. So you can write it down, you can say it out loud. I have a simple surrender prayer on a blog post on my website that I share with people in my programs as a kind of an optional surrender exercise. Like, let's say these words out loud together, or you can use your own surrender prayer. So if someone feels like they're over controlling and you want to loosen your grip a bit more or let go, surrender, just saying the words is very powerful. Just saying, I surrender to divine will. I surrender to my highest self. And I'm asking divine will, I'm asking God, Goddess, the universe, to give me discernment and faith. Give me discernment to know what your will is and the faith to follow it wherever it leads. So we can essentially write this down. We can say it out loud one time. We can say it out loud 3 times every day for a month and watch how our life changes. So one is the power of words. And in this case, you could think of that as an affirmation or a prayer or an intention. The other thing is more in the work I do with the compassion key. So the compassion key is a spiritual healing modality based on self-directed compassion. We give ourselves compassion in very specific ways. So essentially, if there's something about ourselves that we are aware is maybe out of balance in a way that doesn't serve us, we can give ourselves compassion for that. And we just do it very simply. We would just say the words, I'm so sorry you're over controlling. I'm so sorry you're holding on too tight. I'm so sorry it's not safe to let go and be supported by the universe. So we can just say a few phrases like that where we're focusing on our heart center and solar plexus, giving ourselves compassion. So just by naming that imbalance, or then we can get into the next level, I'm so sorry you're sad. So sorry you're sad you can't trust the universe to support you. I'm so sorry you always have to hold on so tight because you can't trust the universe. So we can name the situation, we can name our feelings, give ourselves compassion. A lot of times people might feel some energy moving, or sometimes you might feel some emotions. And so what we're doing essentially is we're uncreating the parts of our reality that we don't like. So our soul's highest expression, if you or someone else has an awareness that you're a little bit too controlling, or a lot too controlling for that matter, if you have an awareness that you're out of balance in some way, that's a wonderful awareness to have. So that's an awareness that you're having, that your fully enlightened soul is different than how you're showing up here in form, right? So what you're becoming aware of is that there's a distortion. Your fully enlightened soul is not out of balance in any way, right? And it's shining its light into form. It's being refracted through that lens. So there must be a crack or an imprint on that lens, which is distorting the soul's light. So then the way you're showing up in form is out of balance in this way. So we can correct those imbalances by clearing that crack on the lens. And that's what we're doing when we give ourselves compassion in that way. We're simultaneously healing and reintegrating wounded parts inside, and we're also clearing cracks or imprints off the lens, so then our soul's light can shine through more clearly. So then we can shapeshift. We can more fully embody our highest self, the true light of our soul, without distortion.